Estimate Rocket is proud to sponsor this APC podcast. Chasing down invoices, dealing with difficult customers, answering employee questions, and worrying about the competition undercutting your prices can make it seem that you'll never be able to take a vacation again. When you implement Estimate Rocket, everyone in your business can be on the same page. Jobs run more smoothly, costs are controlled, and every job is more profitable, no matter whether you're in the office or on the beach. Getting started is easy, and with their industry best painting templates, you can hit the ground running, leaving more time for little Susie and less time battling the competition. Even better, Estimate Rocket offers a 30-day risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose except all that stress. Visit estimaterocket.com today to find out how to spend less time dealing with the hassle and more time doing what you love. estimaterocket.com.
Welcome to Paint Radio with your host, Emily Howard and Andrew Dwyer.
The big show, the APC podcast on Paint Radio. This is what you're here for. I'm Andrew. Emily is here, and today we're talking about adding decorative painting to your business. Or if you already have it, you already offered a bit. There's obviously many different things that you can offer to add on. So we'll talk about that as well. And as always, it goes without saying, but heck yeah, I'm going to say it anyway. Emily Howard does a tremendous job of finding the perfect guests. And we have three of them today, starting with Diane Williams, owner of Art to Die For in Richmond, Virginia. Diane, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
We've got Julie Stonehouse, owner of Stonehouse Design in San Francisco. Welcome, Julie.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be here.
Heck yeah. I say heck yeah a lot because I'm excited and I'm also clean. I don't curse a lot. And we have Kathy Wren of Kelly Bell Studios in lovely Bethesda, Maryland. Kathy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yes, this is, some contractors are looking to add things. Some contractors are looking to pare down their offerings. But for people who think, I think I want to wade a little deeper into the decorative pond, this is what we're talking about today. And all three of you are very much involved with IDAL. IDAL, of course, the International Decorative Artisans League. So let's start there. You've got a convention coming up in very warm Scottsdale, Arizona in June. And you've got a function called Decorative Beginnings. So let me be more specific. The convention is June 20 to 25 in Scottsdale, Arizona. You can learn more at decorativeartisans.org. That's the website for IDAL. Could someone tell us a bit more about what Decorative Beginnings is? It sounds like a wonderful introduction to learn more about decorative painting. Is that what it is?
I'll take that one. This is Diane. Decorative Beginnings is a new venture for IDAL. During our convention, we are hosting a one-day class full of about 6 different sessions on how to upscale or to become a decorative painter, how to start your business. Everything from a hands-on stenciling class that Kathy will run to how to prepare your portfolio, how to get in front of designers, and how to basically start glazing a wall. Everything is included. A lunch is included. At that lunch will be a very casual face-to-face with all of the instructors. So just a question and answer period. It comes with a tour of our expo that we host. We have vendors in from around the country offering different products, everything from trowels to plasters to stencils. It's a really fun afternoon. And it also comes with a pro level membership to IDAL. And that price is $120 for that full day of everything decorative painting.
Well, that sounds like a tremendous opportunity, fabulous entree into learning more about decorative. And on the topic of learning more, let's talk about IDAL, International Decorative Artisans League. For our listeners, the painting contractors who may not, I think most of them are, but for those who are not familiar with what IDAL is and what IDAL does, tell us a bit about IDAL.
Sure. IDAL had its beginnings in the 90s or even the 80s as Stencil Artisans League. It was called Sally. In 2008, it became the International Decorative Artisans League because the professional decorative stencilers in the league took over. And that's when I started.
Was it a coup? Was there a bloodless coup?
It was, Andrew. It was a little dramatic, actually, because there were a bunch of kind of crafty hobbyists in the group. And then there were those who wanted to take it to a professional level and run their businesses. But that's just to say we have our roots in stenciling. And I got caught up on that whole drama. But anyway, so IDAL is now an educational 501c3 nonprofit for decorative artisans. And we have everybody from beginners to well-seasoned professionals. And we can have our convention annually. It's education, but it's networking. I can call on Diane, I can call on Kathy, and any number of people I've met across the country to talk out, I've got this job coming up and I don't know how to bid it and stuff. And so while that goes on online in forums, it's the personal relationships that I've made while also taking classes from a wide number of amazing instructors from all over the world who come to our convention to teach. So it was the number one best thing I did for my business when I joined back in the late 90s.
Nice.
I second that.
So you mentioned stenciling, and we actually have an article in our May issue about stenciling being kind of a good entry point for adding pieces to your business. And Julie, I know you said that stenciling was kind of where you started. So tell me why stenciling is kind of sometimes one of the first things that people use, or it's the kind of the gateway into the decorative world. Is it because it's easier? Is it because it's more fun? Is it because you can charge more? Why stenciling?
It's a simple tool, or a simple seeming tool, and you can get pretty beautiful results pretty quickly with it. Though I always look at it, any artistic endeavor, somebody's going to look at the work that they did 20 years ago or 2 years ago and go, wow, I'm using that tool way differently than I used to. You can level up with stenciling, but if you just want, say, like polka dots, you can just take a piece of Mylar with polka dots cut out and get that onto a wall pretty easily as a beginner finish.
How common, I'll kick this over to Kathy really quick. How common is stenciling now? Are you seeing a lot of it?
I think, and I was going to kind of add too, that stencils, if for someone who wants to kind of start adding any kind of decorative painting into their bag of tricks as a painter, stencils are widely available, just even simple ones that you find at the craft store. So you can get something like that and practice. And stencils have certainly come a very long way from what a lot of people might think of. Oh, stencils were just ducks and geese at one time. And, like a lot of decorative painting, people think it's, oh, isn't that sponge painting? It's so much more. It is a tool. And as a tool, you can take it as far as you want to take it. I certainly love stenciling, and I look forward to any opportunity when a stenciling project comes my way. I just did one in a boutique. It was a simple single overlay stencil pattern, but it was the entire wall. So even though it's a simple design, it's, a challenge to execute that because it's a big wall. But yeah, I think stencils still are quite relevant in decorative painting because wallpapers are in fashion again too. And that kind of pattern, you can achieve results like that or in similar designs with using stencils, or just a single stencil to create a motif here and there on the wall to add visual interest to just a simple painted wall.
Well, and I think we have some incredible pictures in the May issue of examples of how stencils are being used. And I have to say, I was a tiny bit skeptical when we started with this article, but then, Kathy sent me all these pictures, and I have to say, everything looks really clean. It looks really modern. One of the ideas that I absolutely loved is kind of the concrete patios being stenciled to look like an outdoor rug. And it was really gorgeous and clean. What are some of your favorite things that you all have seen in the stenciling world the last, 12 months?
I'm still doing a lot of all over stencils for people that like the look of wallpaper, but do not want to go through the expense or the mess of hanging wallpaper and then in the future removing the wallpaper. So a lot of all over stencil patterns, you'll walk in and you think it's wallpaper, but then when you're ready to move on, it's a very easy 2 coats of paint to cover it up and it's gone.
We are, because we're been in this game for a while, we do a lot of stenciling. I know Diane does in particular on ceilings, big giant single motif around a chandelier or something that's like a border on a ceiling around the entire room, that kind of thing. That just elevates a room completely. And you can still have simple painted walls, but you can do some stenciling on the floor. Like you've seen some of my photos, that kind of single color, modern vibe. That's a lot of what I've been doing lately. And we've done the stencils on the ceiling that are a little more elaborate. So you can take it from a single color in a single design to, kind of multiple designs that layer on top of each other. And you start putting other more interesting products through the stencil besides paint, like metallic plaster or glass beads. So there's a lot you can do with it. And it's a very versatile tool. And there's different kinds of stencils that allow you to do that.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Kills. The next time you need to deliver a professional paint job with results that last, make sure you're primed to win by using Kills Primer before you top coat. For over 40 years, Kills has created a full range of hardworking primers formulated to solve a variety of common problems on any surface and substrate and meet the demands of real job sites. From general purpose to specialty, both indoor and out, you can count on Kills primers for results you can be proud of for years to come. To learn more about Kills primers, go to kills.com/primers. Kills. Every project is worth it. What about the business side of stenciling? How do you, any advice, any experiences you want to share about best practices to add this to your business, things to watch out for, challenges that you've had when it comes to selling stencils?
Don't underbid. Until you've practiced, maybe. So if somebody wants to get into this, go get something at the craft store, something easily accessible, take it home, practice on a wall, see how long it takes you, see what the labor involved is. And by trial and error, you might be able to come to, I can charge this an hour or per square foot, whatever. And since you were talking to people all over the country, it's kind of what, your local market will bear. But I think just kind of knowing what you're getting into and how long it will take and how labor intensive it'll be is something to bear in mind if you're going to start doing it.
If I may pitch it just one more time, Diane said in the May issue, incredible advice on how to begin determining what your hourly rate might be for something like this.
I price my stencil jobs by how long I think they're going to take, how many days I think it's going to take me. And that does come with a little experience of having done some stenciling to know how long it is going to take you to do it. So the practice and timing yourself is crucial as you're a beginner trying to figure out how much to charge. So I price it like it's going to take me 3 days. I have 3 days of my day rate plus the cost of the plasters or paints, whatever I'm using, and plus the cost of the stencil, whether I need 1 stencil, 2, 3. Sometimes you have to cut the stencil apart to be able to reach the corners and the very tip-top corners where a wall turns and you meet a ceiling. So that takes practice. That's basically how I figure out my charging.
As far as what would be a most cost-effective stenciling project for anyone who wanted to give it a try, a motif that you can scatter around a wall in a random pattern would be this most simple to execute and probably the most cost-effective because it's not as labor-intensive. You're not trying to put a stencil into a corner, which is when Diane mentioned buying 2 or 3. That's important sometimes when you're doing an all over, because on the job site, the stencils will get loaded up with paint, and that's when it's time to start spreading the work around to 2 or 3 different stencils. And then if you have another day on it, you go home, wash those, you start over. But a single motif, you just buy one and do it 6, 7, 13 times even, and you've got an interesting visual effect on a wall, and you haven't spent a lot of time or money.
Is there anything else you need to be aware of, again, in the May issue? I know we talked a lot about planning, making sure that first job that you do, not only are you well practiced, ideally you bid based on the time that it took you to work through some of these things, at home or in your shop. But as far as planning that first job, can you all think of any landmines that might be out there, things that you need to be aware of that you guys might have learned through the School of Hard Knocks, but you can sort of share it to this next generation?
Well, maybe the fact that stenciling is, for lack of a better term, it's dry. It's a dry painting technique. So the stencil company Julie mentioned, Cutting Edge, that's pretty popular with the DIY crowd for doing the floors and the concretes and the patios. And they show videos, how-to videos, where they're rolling it with a foam roller. But what is very helpful to people who are starting out in stenciling is that you cannot overload that roller. It's a drier, roll it a little bit into your paint tray and then offload that roller paint onto some paper. So you are not squishing too much paint through the stencil, because then you get wiggly lines and paint will bleed under your stencil. So as far as what to know if you're going to start out stenciling, that would be my biggest thing to tell people. Just practice with a dry roller or a dry stencil brush. You dip your stencil brush in the paint, do the same thing, offload it onto some paper towels, to get it where you think there's nothing on there, but when you push it through the window, it comes out perfectly.
I think it's practice, practice, practice.
Mm-hmm.
And having a good sample board and agreement with your client beforehand, feeling comfortable, like Diane and Kathy were saying, you want to know how long, I always kind of look at, okay, how many times am I going to have to stencil this pattern, this one repeat of the stencil onto the wall? Can I do one every 10 minutes? So that means I can do 6 in an hour. So that means I can do, how many per day. So if you just kind of get really methodical about it, you're going to feel confident going into your job. I also am always making just lists of everything that you need. You have all your supplies around you and have a good job site set up so that, if something is going sideways, you have something. Everything's always fixable. So right. Just so you can feel confident when you're at the job.
And have some of the base coat color handy in case you do have a bleed under and need to do a little touch up, because that can happen in the corners. But as long as you have the base coat and a small paintbrush, you can clean it right up.
Nice. Well, I love that article in May. It was such a joy to work with Diane on. And you can, if you're looking for that issue, if you don't have it in your mailbox, you can access it at paintmag.com. But let's move on to some other things. So if somebody is interested in decorative, stenciling may not really be speaking to them. What are some other options that have, I don't necessarily want to say that they're entry-level finishes, but they do have a beginner-level aspect to them that can help you start and then level up as your career kind of moves along the path?
Well, when Julie was saying that stenciling was her gateway drug into decorative painting, mine was simple glaze washes. I discovered products by accident, even just at the paint store, The big box stores had them back in the day. I think they might still, I don't know. But again, once you come into leveling up, there are some other products out there that we buy online as far as glazes go that you add some paint to it. It extends the dry time so much that you can manipulate the product and create like interesting effects that look like maybe a parchment paper or something like that, or a wall that is, let's say, yellow, and you can add a glaze to that in an umber brown color and take it down and make it look antique or smoke damaged, something like that. So that's how I started out. Simple glazing. That's another fun thing to practice with. And it might be a sponge, but like, we always say to each other, don't hate the tool, hate the way it's used. So use a sponge in a way that you don't see it's a sponge and you've got a good glaze wall going.
I like to say that stenciling is my gateway drug to this industry, but the second one was wood graining, which is really, I took advanced classes, and that's kind of when I leveled up in my business. I took it from a master painter, but the reason why I signed up for that class is because I'd, from the same teacher, taken a class and just simply laying down a really like a bright orange base coat and then taking some brown glaze on top and dragging it. It looks like wood. And it was just so magical to me to be able to do that. And so I did 2 1-week seminars with him and a bunch of other painters. And actually it was a painting contractor who cajoled my teacher into teaching these classes for us in the back of his studio. He wanted to upgrade his business and offer wood graining to his customers. So I would, just to plug IDAL again, I would say, like that painting contractor recognized that that was something he could add to his business, and he found the teacher. And that's what you can do at IDAL. You can kind of take a wide array of classes and go, oh, that's what I liked. Because you might like plastering, and there's simple plastering things that you can do with metallic plasters, or you might like wood graining, and you can start building that expertise.
I love that. I think that those are such great examples, and all three of you have been in the industry for some time now. And Julie, I think I even saw that you've done work for Uber and Twitch and Slack, which is so exciting that your work is in those offices. What are some of the what can you aspire to? I would assume there is no limit. There is no ceiling. There's always something new and better to learn. And I think you all talked earlier about kind of using your network of other decorative painters inside IDAL and probably elsewhere to help push your career along and kind of push your creative endeavors. What are some examples of some really advanced things that you all have done that you've been just really, really proud of?
You brought up Uber and Slack and Twitch. It was Uber that first contacted me. It was their architecture firm. And it was crazy because when I first started, another decorative painter had told a client that, oh, Julie's just a stenciler, like it was a bad thing. And I kind of felt like I came to the industry with no art background. I was in the clothing industry. So I always felt kind of like I wasn't an artist enough, and I just needed to keep educating myself. And so it turns out that that's what Uber wanted. They wanted a bunch of graphic murals all over their walls. So I had to assemble a team. We did 10 murals in the first phase and another 10 murals the second phase for them. And they were long. They were like 100-foot long walls. And it was a huge growing experience to suddenly be thrown into these commercial jobs. Luckily, I had just attained my painting contractor's license in California, because you need that and workers' comp and have all your insurance in line. But I could see where, wow, this is how big contractors, like you get one job like that, and then it started kind of snowballing to where I was getting regular calls to do more and more office murals. And it was pretty exciting to see that growth. Now, the pandemic happened and then people stopped going to their offices. So I haven't been doing that work as much, but it definitely taught me to think big. And there's demand for beautiful walls everywhere.
Kathy or Diane, did either of you want to talk about some of your most advanced and challenging work?
Some of mine are similar to Julie's, where some of the stuff I've done for commercial spaces have been really interesting kind of technical challenges. And when it comes to murals, and you're given like a little piece of paper with a sketch, enlarging it, getting the proportions right, getting it on there, or some of the stuff that we've both done on floors, making sure it's going to bond, making sure it's going to last, things like that. Well, it might look simple. There's a lot more technically that goes into it to make sure it's going to work. And that I'm pretty proud of, that, I've been able to make stuff like that happen. Yeah. But some of the other stuff artistically, I'm going to toot Diane's own horn, because she does some beautiful, elaborate stencil designs with all kind of different fun products on ceilings. Tell the people about that, Diane.
Okay. I love ceilings. I love to paint ceilings. I love to do elaborate patterns, like on dining room ceilings or bedroom ceilings, around chandeliers, anywhere from, a small pattern around a chandelier to a full scale, cover the whole entire ceiling with a beautiful pattern. I recently had, back to stenciling, it's a 2-layer adhesive stencil. So I applied the first mask, the first adhesive stencil, and troweled 3 different colors of metallic plasters through it. Let that dry overnight. You remove the first adhesive stencil and then apply the second adhesive stencil that is very scrolly and elaborate. It's like doing a giant jigsaw puzzle over your head, because everything has to line up just perfectly. Mm-hmm. And then through that second stencil, I gold leafed and then antiqued the gold leaf, which is very fun. And you have to warn your clients that for weeks and weeks, they might find little stray pieces of gold leaf flying through their kitchen, because it gets everywhere. There's only so much you can do to contain it, but it's absolutely the most beautiful effect. And the most fun thing about decorative painting to me is that no one else in the whole world will have what you have. And I think that's really special.
Yeah.
I love that. All of those. I mean, it's beautiful. And like you said, looking at the pictures is just, it's so fun and interesting. But I think one important point to maybe make is that you don't necessarily, as the decorative painter, have to design all of these rooms and walls. That this is one of those businesses where, working with designers, you have the technical skill, you have the know-how, you know the product, you know how to do it. You can really kind of make someone else's vision come true. So how do you guys work with designers?
Yeah, this is definitely a learn as you go kind of business. If you're lucky enough to work with some fun creative designers, they actually will have these grand ideas and they kind of drop them in your lap and say, I want this to happen. So then you are tasked with making sample boards and playing with different products to make that dream, make that vision come to life. And that has been one of the most successful things in my business, is my affiliation with a couple different design groups in my area and attending the monthly meetings and getting to know them. And they get to trust you and you get to talk to them about your work. And educating designers and the general public is a big part of what we do. A lot of people don't understand exactly what decorative painting is and what it entails and what it can offer them. So that's an uphill challenge for us all the time, is educating as to what we do and what we can do. So my advice for getting started would be definitely to look in your area and find out what professional design and home industry groups you have in your area, and get in front of those people and start educating as to what you can do. And that has kept me busy for 20 years.
I think a lot of people who already have a painting or paint contracting business, they probably already know a handful of designers and architects that if you, let's say you decide to do a stencil, get a sample board, make it and say, hey, look, I do this now too, and let them know what else you can do. Because I can tell you, I don't think I've done the same thing more than twice in my entire career. It's always something different. There's so many different things you can do, and it makes it way more fun. I won't hire a painter because I like to roll my own walls, but if I had to do that every day, I sure would, say, oh, let me throw a stencil on here to make it more exciting. So, but yeah, reach out to the people that you might already know to let them know that you can, start to offer decorative painting.
The designers I've worked with absolutely push me to new heights. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get designers come in all stripes. I work with one who claims he's a maximalist and his interiors are amazing. I wouldn't want to live in them, but so he has me do just really a lot of drama, a lot of gold leaf, black and gold, Greek key designs and chinoiserie. I'm painting chinoiserie, that's pretty advanced if you want to talk about an advanced thing. And then I work with designers who are like, no, I just want it to be taupe and white and, and just very quiet. You're going to find the people who appreciate what you do and appreciate decorative painting, because some designers are just going to be like, nope, wallpaper only or just paint only. But there's some out there who want that bespoke special touch that a decorative painter can bring.
But even so, like going back to taupe, I mean, the taupe, gray, whatever thing, it's still a thing, but you can take that to another level, and one color of taupe as a base coat and a different color of taupe as a glaze coat, or a decorative plaster in a taupe color has way more depth to it and movement to it than just a rolled on paint base coat color of taupe or gray. So as far as decorative painting goes, even if it's a trendy, single, simple color and not a minimalist room, there's a decorative painting option in there somewhere.
I like it. What I'm hearing, there's no room, there's no place, there's no time for imposter syndrome when it comes to decorative painting, because the continuum is long. You can evolve at any pace you like, paint what you like, learn the skills that you're comfortable with. And of course, what we've learned today, among other things, is that one of the greatest places to learn those new skills, head over to decorativeartisans.org. That's the website for the International Decorative Artisans League. Their convention is coming up June 20 through 25 in Scottsdale, Arizona. Again, decorativeartisans.org. Check out the Decorative Beginnings offering at that convention. That is a fabulous place to start. Thank you to our guests, Diane Williams of Art to Die For in Richmond, Virginia, Julie Stonehouse of Stonehouse Design in San Francisco, and Kathy Wren of Kelly Bell Studios in Bethesda, Maryland. Really great information, ladies. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Having us. This was fun.
If you want to have more fun, head over to paintmag.com. So many fun resources, because learning is fun, making more money and having more time off, accomplishing both tasks at the same time is even better. paintmag.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.